Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a flashlight video for you today, and you are looking at the Acebeam E70 Mini, and I have to say it is an absolute pleasure to look at this. What a gorgeous light. We'll come back to this, but I'll give you some more close-ups in a second, but I want to say that like many of you, I carry EDC stuff because it serves a purpose, it's useful, it's practical, but at the same time, I like my EDC gear to be interesting and attractive and to offer something for me that brings a little more joy than just carrying a tool around. Okay, and so whether it be this G-Shock GA2100, this is the green metal Cassioak, whether it be the Benchmade Crooked River there with the aftermarket scales and clip from Rogue Bladeworks and MXG gear, the tactile turn pen, the Bestech Falco with the titanium and the carbon fiber infused G10. These things are they necessary? Like, do you need carbon fiber in your G10 to make it functional? No, of course not, right? Do you need a little touch of Timascus on your pen? Of course not. But it makes it more interesting. All right. And of course, when it comes to flashlights, there are a lot of flashlights out there. Most of them are, black, tactical type of options. And if you want something unique and interesting and different that sort of adds some flair to your EDC, you really end up start looking at custom flashlights. But they're stupidly expensive, and for me, these things are still tools, and so I don't want something that's, crazy, ridiculous. I want something that's pretty practical and pretty useful, but then if I can get it with some extra flair, I'm happy to do so, and this absolutely offers some visual interest. This is a beautiful flashlight. That's a sentence I never anticipated saying, but they have done such a nice job, Acebeam has, with the design on this, that I really had to pick one up. All right. Now, this is the Acebeam. This is the E70 Mini. There is a larger version, and there's also sort of a smaller. It's not the E70 anymore. There's another light. This is actually going to be a double feature, but Acebeam has a more double A sized light that has a similar design to this that I was hoping to share with you, but they didn't come at the same time. So let me give you a quick couple of size comparisons. Here is the Olight M2R Warrior, another 18650 light. Here is the Warrior X Pro. So you can see these are both considerably bigger. I love both of these lights. Both of them get a lot of use. This one never leaves my bedside table. This one is always in my EDC bag wherever I go all the time. So these two get a fair bit of use. I'll also carry one or the other of these when I'm out walking the dog later in the day, or when I'm doing something where I'm going to want a more substantial flashlight than a typical EDC size. I should have a couple of small flashlights around here that I had set down. There we go. Here is the Streamlight Micro Stream, and here is the Olight i5T. Just to go on with the theme of EDC, you can see this is not much bigger in terms of length, but it's certainly thicker than these two that I would say are more comfortable for everyday carry in your pocket type of stuff. So I would call this sort of EDC plus. Like, this is a little above and beyond what I would normally carry in my pocket, but it's a light I would have with me if I knew something was going on that day that I was going to want something more substantial. And it is something more substantial. In terms of those numbers, I gave you a bunch of actual things to look at, but the numbers, 4 3/8 inches is the length of this. It's 1 inch in diameter, weighs in at 5 ounces. So this is a fairly substantial light. And if you've ever tried this, I'm sure most of you watching have carried lots of lights before. For me and for my purposes, I find these full-size 18650 lights a little bit more than I want to have in my pocket like all day, every day. Okay, so this is like an occasional carry type of light for me at that size and that weight. All right, now you do get a good bit of performance. When you go up to that size level, you do get a lot out of your light. And so this is a pretty good performer, right? You're going to get 1500 lumens from this version. This is the titanium version. That's on turbo. There's a plain black, standard looking version as well. And that you're going to get up to 2000 lumens. It probably relates to how the two different metals transfer heat. All right. What we have here, by the way, underneath is, you can see that anodized aluminum case underneath the titanium, which is one of the things that makes this so stinking cool. It really, really does. All right. So quick rundown of the function and the power mode. So in order to turn this on, I want you to notice if I just click this, nothing happens. So, if this gets clicked in your pocket or it gets squeezed on somehow, no big deal. You have to actually double click to get this to turn on. Once it's on, it's kind of similar to, your typical O light in that you hold it down, and holding it down is going to cycle through those power options. All right, so those power options that you were seeing were high. Let's see here. Okay, so there's the highest setting. We're going to drop down. Oh, it's going to go all the way back to the bottom. So on low, you're talking about 60 lumens. Then it goes up to 170. Then it goes up to 380. And then it goes up to like 800. Okay. If you want the turbo setting, you're going to have to double click from the on position. So now that it's on, if I double click, whoops, I messed it up. There we go. So double click to get into turbo, and triple click to get into strobe. All right. If you want like the moonlight mode, you can hold this down and it will come on. You can see it's actually fairly bright for a moonlight mode, but that's common in larger lights. If you want to get to strobe right away, you can, even from the light turned off, you can triple click and get the strobe. All right. And I know some people use an EDC light for sort of defensive purposes. Okay, the run times on those in low, it'll go for 19 hours. On the first, like the mid level, the first mid level at 170 lumens, it'll go for 7 hours. All right, on the next level up, 380 lumens, it'll go for 3 hours. And then the high, it's going to start out at 800, but then after a few seconds, like 110 seconds in fact, it's going to drop down and go back to sort of the high mode, which was 380. All right, and finally on turbo, after 44 seconds, again, it's going to drop down to the lower mode, 380 lumens. All right, so that's a quick rundown on the power output and how to get to those different power outputs and how long it's going to last on each of those. Before we wrap things up here, or in fact, before we go take some beam shots outside, I just want to quickly show you the way that you're going to charge this. So this light is going to come with, there we go, one of Acebeam's sort of proprietary batteries, 18650, 310A Type C. You can see there, and it's got a charging port on the side. I find this pretty convenient, and this way, I'm sure many of you watching, myself included, have chargers that are multi-purpose chargers that'll charge just about any battery, and that's great, but I actually find this much more convenient. And the reason I find this convenient is, if I have this in the car, if I'm traveling, anything other than, at home making a video like this, okay, if I'm doing anything else, I know that all I have to do is throw the cable in with me, and I'm good to charge my light. I don't have to worry about bringing a charger. I don't have to worry about bringing extra batteries. I can just bring light, cable, and I'm good. I also like that a whole lot in fact, what I've started doing now is not buying lights that need me to go out and specifically buy a special battery for it. I just don't bother with it anymore. There are tons of lights that have the option to charge either in the battery like this, or, like the O lights, all have the magnetic charging. To me, that is so much more convenient that that's the way I always do it. All right. So now that we've kind of run through the features, the charging, the size, the weight, the look, again, let me give you one last up close look at this light. It is absolutely gorgeous. I didn't give you a shot down the front there. You can see this is done with 3 emitters. So those are I5, I think, emitters. I don't really care. I'm not going to get into emitters because honestly, I don't know enough about it and I don't care enough about it. But it is done with 3 emitters, unlike, if we show you, here's the O light just with the 1. So now that we've taken a look at this light, we've gone through all the functions and features. By the way, they do use a neutral light on this rather than a cool. We'll go outside, take a look at how the beam shot works, and once we've had a chance to look at that, we'll come back and wrap things up. All right, guys, we're out here in the dark with the Acebeam E70 Mini. Just want to show you guys all the settings in a good open field here behind the house. So there is the high setting. Cycle through the mode. There's low, 2 highs, and then the full setting. And then if I give this a double click, you'll see the turbo. So there you go. Okay, so now that you've had a look at how this works outside in the dark, you can see it's a pretty capable flashlight. I think, it's definitely, as I was saying, sort of above and beyond your typical EDC. Very practical if you're going to be, any extended outdoor use, walking the dog, camping, hiking into your hunting blind, whatever the case may be. This will fill that role quite nicely. It'll do so comfortably enough. You can drop this in a pocket, in a pouch, in your, your fanny pack or whatever the case may be. And it's not going to be too crazy big, but it's certainly big enough and substantial enough that it can get the job done. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's just, as I say, a quick rundown. There's not really anything I feel bad that I don't get into the stuff that I hate about these lights. And with a knife review, there's almost always something I find to complain about, but I tend to just accept lights for what they are. And so I just kind of go, yeah, this is what it does. This is how it functions. If that works for you, then that's great. And so, in terms of negative, I don't have anything negative to say. I like the charging feature on the tail that the O lights have, and I know this is lacking that, but it makes up for it by having a battery that I can just open up and charge. So I don't really have an issue with any of that. All right, sorry guys, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will add a link to this in my Amazon store, so if you want to find one of these, that's where you'll have to go. If you want an O light or some of the other things I showed, check out White Mountain Knives. Justin has a great selection over there. Also, please check those other DLT Trading and Blade Ops. Great options. They have tons of good stuff in stock. And I need to do a special video. One will be coming up where I just talk about Blade Ops. That's a recent addition to the channel partners. And I want to thank them especially for coming on and providing a little extra support. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.